Hey, you guys, let's continue with the ICD-10-CM chapter guidelines. We are on chapter 5. This is mental, behavioral, and neurodevelopmental disorders, and these are codes F01 to F99. And before I start, I just want to apologize if I sound a little congested and a little funky. I am getting over a cold, just a little cold. It was nothing crazy. This weather has been a lot. I do live in the Northeast, so got hit with a bunch of snow, and apparently it's not over. So, yeah, just dealing with the snow. But, anyways, chapter 5, there's really not much to discuss here. I just want to jump down to where it says psychoactive substance use, abuse, and dependence. This part is really important, and the way that I notated it helps the information just stand out. So I'm going to flip the camera and show you what my book looks like. Okay, so this is how I notated this section. It's just really talking about when you have substance use, abuse, and dependence, when it comes to things like alcohol, opioids, cannabis, all those things. And so it says here, both use and abuse are documented. Assign only the code for abuse. So I just put a rectangle around abuse and I underline this. Then if both abuse and dependence are documented, assign only the code for dependence. So I just put a rectangle around what should be coded based on the scenario. So if use, abuse, and dependence are all documented, you should only be assigning a code for dependence. So depending on what the case is what you'll code. And that's why I just put a rectangle over it, because it helps the information just stand out more. Okay, moving on to the next section where it says medical conditions due to psychoactive substance use, abuse, and dependence. So the first thing that you code is your medical condition, and then the second thing that you code is the psychoactive substance use, abuse, or dependence. So you really just have to read through these and write down what each code is. So blood alcohol level is from category Y90. And so I notated that in my book so that way I know and my eyes go there. And then you have factitious disorder. This is when someone fakes their illness. Factitious, think of fake. It sounds alike, right? So that's a way that you can kind of remember what that word means. And it's also known as Munchausen syndrome. And you have Munchausen syndrome by proxy. So you remember that story about Gypsy Rose and her mother and the whole documentary about that? So she had Munchausen syndrome by proxy because her mother was, faking all these illnesses and putting it on her daughter Gypsy, pretending that her daughter Gypsy was sick and ill, and it was just a whole mess. But yeah, that's an example of Munchausen syndrome by proxy. Again, I used the rectangle method, I guess I'll call it. Okay, let me show you what it looks like. Okay, so here it says, for the victim of a patient suffering from Munchausen syndrome by proxy, assign the appropriate code from categories T74, which is adult and child abuse, neglect, and other maltreatment. And so these are confirmed cases. So I put a rectangle over confirmed. And then you have codes from category T76, which is for suspected cases. So this is another example of my little rectangle method to make sure that the words stand out. And then for dementia, I just wrote the categories here. I underlined, I highlighted. So definitely go through everything. And this is pretty much what I have here. Not much. And then when it comes to dementia, you have to code on the basis of etiology and severity. And so codes should be assigned only on the basis of the provider's documentation, as we know. And if the documentation does not provide information about the severity of the dementia, you assign the appropriate code for specified severity. And this is pretty much it for chapter 5. Just remember chapter 5, these are the F codes. So F for feelings. These are your feelings, your mental. Definitely read it, underline, highlight, do the little rectangle. It's definitely helped me. So that's all I have. And I will see you in the next video when we discuss chapter 6. Thank you for sticking around, and like always, happy coding and happy studying.